Welcome to another episode of Bargain Saturdays, and this week I decided to take a look at The Last Leprechaun, which I got in this fantasy collection of 6 movies. Albeit only 4 of these movies were new to me. I mean, I already had Merlin's Apprentice, and I've already talked about it in the show. And if you haven't watched it, the movie is basically about Merlin's son, who was born through rape, because he was raped by the Lady of the Lake, trying to find the Holy Grail in order to save Camelot because it's become corrupted over time, and thus is going to be destroyed because of its corruption. Merlin's Return is also in this collection. I've also talked about it, and it ruined magic for me for a while because it turns magic into electromagnetic fields. Seriously, why would magic powers be electromagnetism? Magic by its very nature is a fantasy element. It's a supernatural or spiritual element. It should not be scientific or spelled, because if you can wield magic, because it basically infers that if you can manipulate electromagnetic fields, you can have the power of a wizard at your hands. This doesn't make any sense. Why would you be invincible simply because you can wield electromagnetism? Seriously, almost anyone can pick up an electromagnet if they want to, or just make one at home. Sure, it wouldn't be very powerful, but does that really make you a wizard? Even a very powerless wizard, or almost insignificant wizard? Does that make any sense to you? Ugh. Sorry for the rant, but it just really bugged me in Merlin's Return with the whole electromagnetism thing. The only other thing of note with that movie was that we got to watch the Highlander, Duncan MacLeod, go sliding down a waterfall, shouting, "Merlin!" at the top of his lungs, like an idiot. It has to be one of the dumbest scenes I've seen in a movie. I mean, it's not as dumb as watching a chupacabra kill a person by biting off his dick, but stupid. Though I guess it is stupid in a funny kind of way, but not as funny as the whole chupacabra thing if you're in the right mood for it. But so I suppose I should get to talking about The Last Leprechaun finally, right? Because we're almost 2 minutes into this and I haven't said much of anything about the movie itself. The Last Leprechaun is a very campy, stupid kind of movie that once you start thinking about it after the movie's over is not as enjoyable as you think, I suppose. While you're watching it, if you turn off your brain, you might enjoy the stupidity as it goes on. But when you think about the main story afterwards, you're like, well, that doesn't make much sense. It also has a lot of cliche elements, plot elements going for it. Like, the starting antagonist is a wizard who desires to rule the world. So he summons the spirit of a banshee and then gives it a body in order to get the banshee to obey him and so he can take over the world. Though why a single banshee would give him the power to take over the world, I have no idea. And why would you summon a being more powerful than yourself, which seems to be implied with the way the Banshee treats him, doesn't make any sense either. Banshee's like, you're going to do what I say, or I'm going to kill you as your reward for giving me a new body. So he basically becomes enslaved to the thing he tried to enslave himself, and eventually is killed by her when he tries to overthrow her, or make her bow to his will. For a while she acts like she's losing, but she's like, this ain't going to work. The Leprechaun already told us it's not going to work. And the Leprechaun's very smart and wise and knows a lot about magic, so he's like, you're toast, guy. And he is. I mean, he gets literally blown to pieces. I mean, I couldn't say I didn't see it coming. In fact, I expected it to happen within the first 5 minutes, so I suppose having it happen in the last 5 was a bit of a twist. I'm surprised he managed to last that long. But that's really the biggest twist we have in the movie. Outside of that, we get to watch the Banshee effectively kill herself. The Leprechaun basically explains how her death occurred, but it's not a very satisfying ending. Basically, she acquires the Leprechaun's gold because the Leprechaun tries to stop her deforestation efforts, and eventually they take a picture of him, and she's like, it's a leprechaun. That means leprechaun gold. So she eventually hunts him down and gets the gold. And the Leprechaun eventually hands over all his gold willingly over to her, and this causes her to explode. Basically, according to the Leprechaun, the magic of earth magic, which is what leprechauns wield supposedly, is life. The problem is that the Banshee is a representation of water, so having all this earth magic inside of her eventually killed her because it went completely against her nature. Which makes you wonder if why the Banshee wouldn't be aware of this herself, considering the Leprechaun was banking on it to destroy her. You'd think the Banshee would be self-aware enough to realize that having all that earth magic that would overwhelm her water magic would be a pretty dangerous and stupid proposition. I guess you can argue that with such an over-the-top villain as the Banshee is, because she constantly acts in a way that like she's pure evil. You're like, why can't anyone else see that she's evil? No one else seems to realize she's evil. Even her own help that she's hired actual human beings to do can't seem to catch on to the fact that she's evil incarnate right now. Like seriously, she talks like she's evil. She laughs like she's evil. She looks evil. It's not even a secret. The kids pick up on it within minutes of not even minutes, within seconds of meeting her, that there's something off about her. It's one of those things that just really say works for a bad movie. That you're like, you just laugh at the fact that the villain is so blatantly evil, yet everyone else seems pretty stupid of it if they're an adult. I suppose that's sort of a theme in kids' movies, right? Adults can never catch on to how dangerous these supernatural entities are because they're just so stupid and don't realize that this person's acting in a way that makes it obvious that they're the villain. Yeah, though I really don't understand the Banshee's plan. Yes, what kills her ultimately is the leprechaun golden earl and greed, but her plan before she knew about the leprechaun was to build a gigantic dam, which would then flood the valley, which would increase her power somehow. But the movie never explains how the Banshee's connection to water works in order to explain how she becomes more powerful by simply having a dam built. At one point she says she'll use science to defeat the human world based on science, so I'm assuming that using science to power herself up in order to defeat the rest of the world and make it bow to her whims was a good idea in itself, but how exactly does having the dam increase your power? They never really explain that. Then again, they don't explain why the leprechaun's giving away magic gold coins, either. I mean, the movie basically says, leprechauns, if they run out of gold, grow gigantic size and explode. So apparently, the leprechaun's plan is, it might kill both of them, but I'm going to do it. It just doesn't make any sense that the leprechaun will be giving away gold if it's so important to his very existence to have it. It just really bugs me when you start thinking about all that stuff. Like I said, like, how does building a gigantic dam augment the Banshee's powers? I'm not going to say her being here a huge body of water could not increase her powers, but how does it work? You need to explain these things. Magic cannot be just magic, okay? You have to explain it if you're going to have it in a fantasy story, or at least explain the gist of how it works somehow. Like, does she have to be directly involved with this process? Or can she just be indirectly involved? And if that's the case, can she just go to a giant dam elsewhere on the planet like China and then get her powers increased so she can then take over the world? How exactly does her connection to the dam have anything to do with her being more powerful by a large, massive standing body of water? If that's all that's important, again, why not go to China where there is a massive dam and one of the largest reservoirs in the world and become ultra powerful by being near it and taking over the world? Or does she need to have multiple dams in multiple locations so she can become more powerful? In which case, why is all the focus in Ireland, of all places, and not in, like, mainland Europe? I'm sure I can go on and on and on with plot lines, but it just gets really hard to take the story seriously. And it's not meant to be taken seriously, obviously, but when you think about it, once you get over the movie, or through the movie, it's like hole. Like I said, this is one of those stupid, campy movies that you enjoy while you're watching it, but afterwards, when you start to think about things, yeah, it's a very stupid movie with a whole bunch of holes in it. But whatever. I mean, like I said, it's stupid, campy fun while it plays. Think about how stupid it is later. Until next time, then. See ya.
Destroyed her.
You said your power is life.
It is. We are what nature makes us human. The gift is so much gold, it made her into something other than what she was. In the end, she destroyed herself.